Hey, thanks for joining me to color. Today we are going to be working on this adorable new Stampin' Bella image called Honeybear Stuffie. Aren't they cute? Love those. I will put a link down in the description box of the card kit and all the supplies I used. I would love for you to come shopping with me. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, do that so you know whenever I upload a new video. And if you have a question, leave a comment below and I will get back to you. Or you can just say hi too. That'd be great. So I've already stamped my image on Neenah 80-pound Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So let's color. Okay, so let's create a background for our image, and for that we're going to use BG10, BG70, and our colorless blender. I'm going to start with BG10, and I just want to go along and make a thin line all the way around. And we're just going to work our way clear around our whole image. I start with this little guy down here first. And I'm just going to go back down here to his fanny, and then I'm going to come up here and I want to go around my drips for my honey. So I go right up and along the side of my honey pod or my beehive. And we're going to work our way around. And I want to go around the leaves too. Like this. And when I did mine, when I cut it out, I made sure that I cut it out so that this part wasn't on here anymore. So when you stamp yours, you'll want to either use your Stamp-O-Majig or make sure that your branch hangs off the side of your paper. And we're just going to work our way around to the other side. Go around this little curlicue. Oops. Around this cute little leaf. And back down the other side of our honey, or our beehive, so we connect in there. Next, we're going to take our BG70, and I'm going to lay it down on top of my BG10 that I already put down, and I want to stroke my pen out over the top of that line and out into my white space. I'm just going to bring that out here, and I want to work all the way around. So I'm going to go clear up here, and I actually want to bring this color out to this bee, so I'm going to swipe it out here past my bee like that, and then we'll come in here, and I want to go over this section, so I'm going to kind of go in a little circle here in between there. I want to rub some of that line away. And we're going to bring this out here. And same for over here. Again, touch down on your previous color and pull that color out here into the middle. Let's do, and I'm going to pull past that little swirl there. And same for down here. And we'll just work our way to the other side. And again, go around your bee. And I'm just quickly going through, oh, there's another bee, and swiping it out here into my white space. Okay, now I think I want to do just a little bit more up here at the top. So I'm going to swipe up this way and bring it out just a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm going to take my colorless blender and I'm just going to go over the whole thing. So I'm just going to scrub back and forth, and I'm making sure to go past all both of those colors. And I'm also going clear back to the very first color so I can kind of soften that edge a little bit more from the BG70 to the BG10. Okay, now I want to do just a few, there's just a few spots where there's a little bit more of a line, so I'm going to take my Colors Blender and kind of swirl it over that space in between the two colors and soften it up a little bit. You could also, too, take your BG70 and go over, kind of flick it a little bit more out away from the BG10, and that would soften it a little bit more, too. Now I'm just going to go like that. Maybe soften a little bit more out here on the edge. And I'm going to leave it like that. Now, let's work on this branch. For that, we're going to use W5, 3, and 1. I'm going to start with my W5. And let's go, we want to add where we want some shadows. So right here along his foot, he's got some great shadows already there that the artist put in. So I'm just going to go ahead and brush on those. And then let's maybe do the bottom of this little knot. And here's a little line, so I'm going to do that. And then let's go ahead and go right along the bottom of this section of the branch. And then up here there's a couple little lines, so I'm just going to lightly brush over the top of those. And then let's work our way over this way. So we'll go under his chin and then away from his paw. Maybe a little bit right here next to his paw. And then right here where it's touching his paw again. And then we're going to bring this down around on the bottom. And I'm going to just follow the little curl around this little pointy part. Be careful, it's really small in there. And then let's add a little bit to this knot, and maybe the underside over here, and then underneath this branch. And then I'm going to do these little lines that are right here already. And let's do the underside of this branch. Okay, then I'm going to grab W3, and I just want to soften that edge, so I'm going to go right along the last color. Rub right over the top of it and work my way to the other side. And then we'll take our W1 and fill in the entire branch. So I'm going to go over the last two colors and just kind of swoosh it back and forth. And go over here. For the leaves, let's use G94, YG63, and YG3. I'm going to start with my G94 and add in some shadows. So let's start over here on this branch, or this leaf, and there's a couple little lines there already, so I'm going to just flick over those, and then I'm going to go down the little line that there's in the middle. Same with this one, there's a couple little streaks there, and then I'm going to do the inside of this fold. And let's same thing, let's work our way over here. It's got a little line there, and then there's a little fold for the leaf right here. And then on this side, there's a fold on this leaf. Oh, better get this one before I forget it. And a little bit in here. Then we're going to go with YG63. So I want to just brush the side, or just the edge of that color, just to soften it. And work our way over here. And I'm going to leave this curled section that's kind of folded up for the lightest color. And then we'll take our YG03 and go over the entire leaf. a second time here and soften my edges just a little bit. So let's hop down here and do the grass next. For that, we're going to use YG 17, 23, and 21. I'm going to start with my YG 17. And let's add a little bit of darkness in here. So let's go underneath of our bear. And I'm going to go along the bottom of my grass. And maybe flick a couple of little sections up into my grass. And then we'll continue over here. We want to go underneath of our bear. And along our grass, and then again flick a couple little streaks up into there. And I think I'll actually bring my grass down in here just a little bit. Then I'm going to grab YG 23, and I want to flick up some of my grass streaks. And then I want to go along the edge of that YG 17 and soften it. And then I'll take YG 21, and again do your grass streaks. And then let's soften the edge of the last color. I think I'll do just a little bit up here just to soften all these colors together. Then I'm going to go back with my YG 17 and put some more of that shadow back in. And let's add a little bit of YG 23. It's looking a little yellow, so let's go ahead and add a little bit of this. There, I like that better. Let's move up here and work on this hive next. For that, we're going to use, for the honey, we're going to use Y26, and for the hive, we're going to use E35, 33, 31, YR21, and Y23. So I'm going to go ahead and do the honey real quick first. So I've grabbed my Y26, and there's just a little bit of honey that's dripping out of the side of our hive and down here underneath the bottom. And that's all there is for that honey. Then we're going to start on the hive. So I've grabbed E35, and I just want to add a little bit of shadows in. So I'm going to go along the edge of each one of these little corners. And there's already some lines there that the artist put there. So I'm just kind of following those. And we'll work our way down here to the bottom. And then I'm going to go with E33. So you want to make sure to touch down on your last color. And we're just adding a little bit because I don't want it to be brown. I want the hive in the middle to be yellow. So I'm just adding some shadows out here on the edges. That. And then we'll continue with E31. So again, we're just softening the edges. Right over the top of that last color and pulling it out into our white. And then we'll add some YR21. And this time I'm going to go over the last three colors and pull out into my white. So I'm going to go over the last three colors and then go over the edge of the E31. So I'm adding some more color into my white space. And then lastly, I'll take my Y23 and I'm going to go over the entire thing. Then I think I'll go back with my E35 and just add a little bit of some shadow back in on some of these little bumps. Okay, while we have the Y23 out, let's color our bees. So I'm going to take my Y23 and I'm just going to go over each of these cute little bees. So there's one, because they're already got some black lines, so I'm just adding some yellow to their bodies. And then this one up here. Quick and easy, and if you wanted to darken up the black, you could go over it with your black pen and darken that up. Let's hop down here and do the inside of this pot. So I made it look like there was honey in there. So I'm going to go ahead and use the colors I used for my hive up here. So we're going to start with our E35. And I'm just going to follow, there's some little lines right here already that the artist put in on the stamp. So I'm going to follow those, but I want to also bring this dark color around the lip of the pot. And then I'm going to grab E33, and I just want to soften a little bit of that edge. So I'm not adding very much, just a little bit. Next is E31, same thing, you just want to soften that edge. YR21, and again I use this color over the last 3 colors. And then Y23 over the entire area. Now, let's do the pot that the honey's in. For that, we're going to use R37, 35, and 43. And I'm going to start with my R37. Let's go ahead and do underneath the rim of the pot. So I'm going to do a small line underneath here. And then I'm going to go down this side. I want to have a little bit of shadow over here. And I'm going to bring that color around over here to his hand. So again, just a little bit. And then for where his paw is, I want to color in this section over here completely. But then I'm going to go ahead and flick away from his hand out into the pot just a little bit more. So maybe about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to take R35. Oh, wait, let's do the upper pot too. So it's, again, R37 for that. And let's do right next to the honey, around the inside and over here, about halfway. Now we'll go with R35. And I think I'll do a little bit more on this, do the top before I forget completely again. And we'll go around the edge. That. And then we want to add some down here. So let's flick right out here into the middle of our pot. And I want to soften the edge of this. So I'm going to do a little dab along the edge here. Not too much from this side again. And I'm going to go over this dark line one more time. And then I'm going to take R43 and I'm going to fill the rest of it in. There, it's nice and red. Now, let's work on the bear's noses and their foot pads. For that, we're going to use T7, 5, and 3. And let's go ahead and start down here on this little guy. So I'm going to grab my T7 first, and let's do his nose. So I'm going to go right around the edge, and he's got a little line there already, so I'm just going to follow that around over here to the other side. And then we'll go down here and do his foot pads. So again, I'm just going to do like a little C on the bottom of each of his foot pads. And if you don't use your T7 very much, make sure to remove the other end so that it doesn't make a big blob on your coloring. Next, we're going to go with T5. And we'll go right over the edge of this bottom one. And then we're going to take T3 to fill it in. And same for our foot pad. And then let's hop up here and do this little guy. So again, we're going to start with our T7. And let's do his nose. So for his nose, let's do right around the corner and up on the other side. And then we'll do the bottom of his foot pads. That. And then we'll add some T5. And then we're going to fill it in with our T3. And I want a little bit of it out of the lines here on my bear, but I'm going to leave that because I'm going to color in brown. So it's going to cover that right up. Now, let's do the inside of the bear's ears. For that, we're going to use R20 and R30. I'm going to go ahead and start up here on this guy with my R20. And let's do right along the little fluffy part of his ear. And right here, we're going to curve it over just a little bit. And then for this side, same thing. Let's do a little bit, and then bring a little bit longer out here where this line is. Then let's hop down here and grab this little cutie too. So I'm just going right over those lines that are already there. Then I'm going to go with R30. And I'll come up here, bring it out here over his foot. Okay, so now let's color our bears in. For that, we're going to use E47, 74, 71, and our colorless blender. So I'm going to start with E47. Let's go ahead and start down here on this cute little guy, down here on his leg. So I'm going to go right along the edge of his leg. I'm going to try not to color outside the line. And I think I'll bring this color in just a little bit more. And then I'm also going to go down this side. And I'm going to brush this side in just a little bit more. Like that. Then let's go up here and we'll do his hands, or his paws. So I'm going to flick a little bit along the bottom of each one. Let's get this one over here too. Okay, and then I'm going to go with E74. I don't want to get too far out there. I want my ink to still be wet, so we're going to do a couple little sections, and then we'll do another little section. Do it right along there, and then for his leg, we're going to do and then we're going to fill it in with our E71. Go over that a couple times to soften that edge. We'll go up here and we'll do the same thing. We're going to fill that in and then brush over that edge just a little bit just to get it extra wet and blend it all together. Okay, and then we're going to grab E47 again, and let's do his body. So, whoops, wrong one. Grab this one, and I want to go underneath this branch, and then underneath of his hand, and then I want to bring this side down like this. I'm also going to bring this side around a little bit. I do a small line, and then for this bottom side I'm going to brush out a little bit more. And I think I'll flip just a little bit extra over here. And I'm going to grab E74, and we want to soften that edge. So I'm going to work my way around on that edge. And then I'm going to go over it a second time and pull out just a little bit more into my white. And then I'll take my E71 to fill it in. And then I'm going to take this color and go clear across. Alright, let's work up here to his face and his other little paw. So again, start with your E47. And I'm going to go up here. Let's do this around his little cute little paw. And I'm going to color in the whole bottom section of this. And then I'm going to add some E74. I think I'll soften that just a little bit more, so let's go over it another time. And then I'm going to take my E71 to fill in this top section. Then we'll go over here to his face. So again, grab E47, and let's start here with his ear. So I'm going to do a little bit of color right here on the bottom of his ear. And then we'll do the top, that. And let's go over here and do this one too. So we'll do a little bit color in here. And the bottom section of his ear over here. And then for his face, I'm going to take my color from his ear around the bottom and over the top of this foot, and then back around to this ear over here. And then I'm going to soften that just a little bit more. So I'm going to bring my color just a little bit more in here on the bottom. Then I'm going to add some E74. Go ahead and bring this color, and I'm going to bring a little bit above the top of his foot, and then we'll add a little bit over here. And then for his face, I want to bring this color up and complete it all the way around. And then we're going to go right along the edge and soften it. And then the second time around, I'm going to go out a little bit past my last line. And then I'm going to take my E71 to fill it the rest of the way in. Too cute. So now let's hop down here and do this cutie. So again, let's start with E47. And let's go ahead and do this foot that's underneath of the pot. So let's start right here. That. And then for this foot, let's go underneath of his arm, or I guess it's his belly. Like this, and around over here to the end of the pot. But then we want to also bring this color along here a little bit. Like that. And then let's do his foot pad. So let's do this. Add some dark on the bottom. That, maybe a little bit on his tail. And then let's go ahead and bring this color up around to match this side. And then I'm going to bring it right around here onto his paw. And there's already a little line right here on his paw, so I'm kind of using that. And then we're going to go right back here, and we'll do the back of his head. And I'm going to do a little bit next to where the pot is touching his face. And there's already some lines there. The artist did some lines for us. And let's go a little bit onto this ear. And then I'm going to add a little bit of this on the top of his head. Like that. Then let's grab E74, and I'm going to fill in this bottom foot and this bottom part of his belly. And then we're going to add a little bit to his foot pads, or to his feet. His tail. And then we want to soften that edge, so let's go right along there. And the second patch, I'm going to go up more on my white. I'm going to go back over it a second time. And then I'm going to grab E71 to fill it in. And then I'm going to brush over the entire foot. Soften that up. Let's go around his ear. Finish up this ear. And then we're going to want to fill in his face. So let's go right around here. And then I'm going to go over the entire section just to soften some of those edges. Then after I got them all colored in, I went back with my colorless blender, and I'm just going to dot up and down on my cute little bear. And you could dot, if you dot slow, you're going to get bigger dots. If you dot fast, you're going to get smaller dots. I'm just going to work my way around. Okay, and then I'm going to let it dry a second, so I'm going to go up here and use a little bit on this little guy. So again, dot, 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 dot. And I'm just bouncing my pen up and down, and it's going to remove or push out some of that color so that it has some little splotches. Okay, we'll let him dry. I'll go down here and see how this guy's got some little dots already. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more. Okay, he looks pretty good. Let's go up here and get this cutie again. And you could add as many dots as you wanted, or if you didn't want them to be textured, you could leave this part out. I just wanted him to have a little bit more stuff going on, so I gave him some dots. And see how his little dots are showing up there? So there's our beautiful Honeybear Stuffie, all colored up. Aren't they cute? I love them. They're so adorable. And again, here's my finished card. So I've added some Spigot glitter pen and clear to all these little swirls that the bees made, and I put it on the cute little bees' wings just to add a little bit of sparkle. And then my fence, my images popped up, and then my fences popped up on a little bit higher pop dots. But there they are. Didn't they turn out awesome? So I hope you had fun coloring with me today. If you have a question, leave me a comment and I will get back to you. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.